Welcome to Create Momentum for Positive Mindset. Today, my guest is Zieshan Akbar. Zieshan Akbar works with local community and support the community. Zieshan, how are you?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
I'm all good. How you been? How you keeping? I think weekend was just gone. Did you enjoy the weekend with the family or work?
Yeah, just the weather was pretty good over the weekend, so I managed to get out, take the kids out to the park, and just watch football. Just normal stuff. Good weekend.
Okay. So, Zieshan, could you please tell us about yourself?
Yeah. So I was born and raised in London, in East London. Um, yeah, growing up in this area was good. Was interesting. I mean, there's a big Pakistani and a Muslim community in this region, so it's very comfortable growing up, going to the local schools, and going through that and stuff. And yeah, so I basically at the moment you mentioned in the introduction about working with the community. So yeah, in what I do is basically me and my partners. We have two tuition centers, five tuition centers in the local area where we provide help with students and their education to try and improve themselves outside school. I mean, it was set up by two of my brother-in-laws, Shabazz and Afri, just over 10 years ago. And then later on, I joined in with their project in supporting adult education. So apart from children, we also support young adults trying to find work, um, aiding them in trying to gain qualifications so that they are able to go out and find work and be members of society. This is the kind of support work that I do within the community. Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I do.
That's it. That is really great that you're helping the community to get benefits and be useful. So, Zishan, do you always wanted to become a coach or a mentor to the community?
Um, I mean, I didn't really set out to become a mentor or a coach per se. It sort of kind of just happened. So, I mean, I started working with the Learning Hub, which is my company and my partner's company, the ones that I mentioned earlier on, um, trying to support the local community. And what I saw is that there was a need to help not just people within school or education, but even people that are much older but don't have much education, or they don't actually have much qualifications to try and get them into work. So one of the things that we did was me and my other colleague Usman Khan is we worked in trying to get people into security work, like for example SIA courses. So we provided SIA courses within the local community, especially to those people that were didn't have much education or didn't have the necessarily skills to go into work, but they were desperate for work. So we helped them complete the courses, get them to get their badges, and then help them to find employment. And whilst we were doing this job, or whilst I was doing this job, obviously we interact with people, we speak to people, and sometimes they don't have the necessary knowledge or information, and they ask us questions. And when they ask me questions and I respond and I'm helpful, I become a reference point for them. So if there's any other issue later on, they'll always refer back to me because they've come across somebody that's actually helped them in trying to achieve something. And maybe that might have been the first time for them to do that. I mean, a lot of international students that have come into the country and are looking for some part-time work. Um, these are the kind of people that are sort of vulnerable in the beginning because they don't know where to go, they don't know where to start, and then we was like a reference point for them. I was like a reference point for them, and as a result, I almost became like a mentor, is the word that you use, because they'll always use me as a reference point for any questions they had, because their first experience with me was so hopeful for them. And so it wasn't something that I set out to do. It almost kind of happened organically without it being planned. And so now I understand that that is my role within the community, and I'm just focusing on trying to ensure that I can help as many people within the local community as much as I can. And the reason why it's really important for me is because, again, I was born and raised in this environment. in East London, which has a reputation of being rough. And I mean, again, for me, growing up, I spent a lot of time on the road, on the street, playing football, meeting with other people. I came across lots of interesting characters that, you know, have kind of gone astray, got involved in gangs, got involved in crime, and as a result, they've sort of gone off the wrong path. And I've grown up seeing that. And I mean, thankfully, I never went down that path. I wasn't really interested in that per se, but I was around people that were kind of involved in that stuff. Thankfully for me, I later on managed to go to university. I graduated with a politics and international relations degree. But prior to that, when I was in school, I left with very bad GCSE grades. I went to college and I started from a foundation course. Basically, there was no hope for me, but I worked myself up. I spent 4 years in college and finally got to university. So I took the long way round just because I neglected my education at school, and that was just the environment that we were in. You know, it wasn't cool to be studious. It wasn't cool to get good grades or be smart necessarily. It was cool to be to misbehave and to be disruptive and to be in detention. And so that kind of culture caused myself to go down the wrong path in terms of neglecting the things that are important. But thankfully, I was at a situation where I was in college and I wasn't around any friends, and I felt kind of down and lonely. And, you know, I had a bit of a spiritual awakening as well, because I was down and lonely. I felt like I needed help and support. And, you know, obviously, naturally, you look towards something greater than you. And for me, that was, you know, my religion in Islam. And that gave me focus. And as a result of that, that changed my whole mindset and mentality. And that put me through college and that put me through university, because my focus was no longer about, you know, being cool or following the crowd. It was more about, you know, being progressive and being helpful to the community, to myself first, and then as my journey grew, to try and help in the community. So, I mean, to answer your question in a directly now, is basically, I mean, my experiences, my life experiences, my journey caused me to become who I am now. And put me in the field that I'm in right now. But there was a background to it, and that was some of the things that happened. So it wasn't planned; it just kind of organically happened.
Wow, it's quite a journey. In between, just I want to ask you what your thoughts are on self-education and academic education. How do you differentiate them?
I mean, look, we as individuals, we always are going to learn. We always should try to yearn to progress. And that doesn't necessarily mean academically. It could be just being better as individuals, being more charitable. I don't know, depending on your beliefs, you know, praying more, doing more charity, helping other people. That's basically self progress and learning, and that's not necessarily academic, but the academic element of education is also very important, because it opens up a lot of doors. It allows you to interact with loads of different people. So if I didn't get to university, the kind of interaction I would have had would have been very different to the kind of exposure I was able to get at university, because I met people from different backgrounds, from different realities that weren't all like mine. And so I was able to learn from them. So that's kind of social interaction. But academic education is also very important, because, like I mentioned, it opens doors with meeting people from different backgrounds. You can learn a lot from there. And it also gives you a sense of self-worth, and it also gives you confidence. So, I mean, because I went through university and I graduated from university, it gives me a level of confidence that I may not have had if I didn't have that academic background. Maybe I wouldn't feel comfortable around people that may have been academically qualified, had degrees, or, you know, hold professional roles. If I didn't have that education, academic education, maybe I wouldn't feel as confident in interacting with those kind of people. I mean, that's just the way I feel. So I think both are important, and we should always kind of should strive to you know, to learn more, because the more we learn, the better understanding and the more of an equilibrium we reach. So I think both of them are really important.
That is really great. Yeah, that is true that both of them are very important. As you get academic qualification, so you obviously know about particular subject, but you get self-education like personal development, which is I am fan of. So you know about to deal with daily issues more. So you're absolutely right on there. So another question for you. What motivates you every day when you help a person to achieve the results?
Okay, so I mean, for me, um, the satisfaction that you receive within yourself, knowing that you've actually helped somebody and made a difference to their life, I think for me that is something that I've uh, gained a lot throughout my journey. I mean, there's plenty of examples where I've had people come to us that are desperate to find work, that have got rent, they've got bills to pay, and they don't know how they're going to manage all of these things, and they just want work where they could go and earn a true living or honest living, and so we've helped them jump on, for example, SIA courses, and they've gone through the process, they've received their qualification, we've helped them gain their badge, and finally also helped them find employment. And that person is forever grateful to you. That person is forever, especially those that have traveled from foreign countries, from South Asia or wherever it may be, from Africa, and they are so grateful to you because you've helped them put themselves in a position where they can actually look after themselves and their family and earn money and maybe even send money back home. And people back home may be very desperate for some of their income. And so the happiness that they have on their face and the gratitude that they show you because you've helped them, I mean, it's an amazing feeling. I mean, me personally, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we want to acquire wealth. We want to have a nice car or a nice house or so on and so clothes or whatever it may be. And I'm not saying that they are not things that we should strive towards. And I think it's okay if that's what you want to strive towards. But those things, these material things, ultimately will not bring you happiness. I mean, there's lots of people out in the world, like celebrities that we know of, that have all of the status and the wealth and the material things, and they're not happy. So in my opinion, all of these material things are okay for you to have. There's nothing wrong with it, but that will not, in my opinion, give you ultimate peace of mind and happiness. For me, peace of mind and happiness or fulfillment, what it brings me by helping people, is knowing that I'm helping them better themselves. And also for me, there's a spiritual aspect of it as well. There's a spiritual aspect that, for me, at the end of the day, we're here to worship God. That's what he created us to do. And if we are doing good deeds for his sake, for us to attain good deeds, pleasurement from him, so that we are, entered into heaven and avoid hell, then these actions that we do help in that, and that is the ultimate goal. Because having a big bank balance won't achieve that for me. But having a good bank balance, because that's important as well, but helping others and attaining peace in mind and attaining good deeds for your life after, if that's what you believe in, that's what I believe in, and I think that's the most important part for me. That's the one that gives me the most satisfaction.
Yes, I've just a few minutes ago about this. There was somebody posted on Instagram. It said materials last only for a few days, and after that, it's the interest will gone. I mean, if you buy a new iPhone, for example, 1 day, 2 day, you play with it, and after that, for after a week, you say, "Oh, what? It's just a phone." It's just an example. It came in my mind. So, do you face any challenges and difficulties to set up your business, or when you get on this field of local community helping out?
Yeah, so I mean, I mentioned before about how I initially started with the tuition center, the learning hub, but there's other things that I've also moved in onto with my other colleague Usman Khan. And what we're basically, our new project is we've been working on is trying to provide help to people that have minimum or no qualification, to get them involved in traineeships and apprenticeships, so that they are able to go and gain qualifications and get some work experience, so they're able to be part of society, they're able to go and work. And in my previous experience, in my previous job, I worked at a youth hostel where there were lots of young vulnerable people, who were involved in gang crime or involved in violence and being removed from school. They come from broken families. And these people, they fall into a vicious cycle where they're not focused on education. They have no qualifications, and then get involved in things like crime that leads them to prison, and it's just a vicious cycle, and they sort of ruin their lives. And I've witnessed this at youth hostels, and so these are the kind of people that I want to help get into employment by getting them involved in traineeships and apprenticeships, so that they're able to go and be a part of society and contribute to society, as opposed to being on the outside and people looking them at as degenerates or anything like that. And so my new business venture is Secure Your Future Academy, which is it's an organization which is working with young people within our local area, those that have zero to minimal qualification, and in trying them to get involved with courses that we will offer to them, like functional skills, maths and English, customer service skills, employability skills, security courses, to give them qualifications, get them involved in traineeships so that they are able to go out and find employment to better themselves. And to answer your question, as in what kind of difficulties do we face with that, is we face difficulties because people are coming from a situation where they're not used to working, situation where they are around a bad crowd. It's hard for them to get away, sometimes gangs. They're influenced by the media, the music industry, where it's about making quick money, and trying to do a course or going to do a job which might start off with minimum wage. That's not appealing. So the difficulty we find is to try to get these people to come along with us so that we can help them to progress. And sometimes we get a lot of resistance from them because that's something that they don't want to do, even though they know it's a better path for them. But because they're so used to doing things that the way they are, it's hard for us to motivate them to get them in with us so that we can help them in the future. So those are the kind of difficulties we face.
So what do you want in life?
It's a very philosophical question, which is really hard to kind of answer. I mean, lots of people have tried in the past. In terms of me personally, what do I want from life? I mean, look, I'm a very simple person. I have a family, I have kids, I have wider family. I want to have good relationships with them, good terms with them. I want to be able to, earn my money in a respectable halal way. I want to be able to provide my children with the things that they need so that they can grow up and become independent. I want to do all of these things in line with what I understand to be right and wrong. Because ultimately, for me, my main objective is to ensure that I am a good person and that my Creator Allah is happy with me. And if I can do that in my life, in terms of work, in terms of my relationships, in terms of whatever's been recommended by our Prophet to do, then that for me would give me happiness. I want money. I want all of the things that everybody else wants. Yeah, I like to drive a nice car, and I like to have a big house, and all of the things that everybody else desires to have. And there's nothing wrong with that. Even from a religious perspective, there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, that's not my main focus, and I don't think that's going to ever give me happiness. So, what do I want from life? I mean, I just want to be happy ultimately, and being happy means for me to do what's good and what's right and be on the right path. And I think everything else will kind of fall into place. Even if there are difficulties that you face in life, as soon as you realize that at the end of the day, ultimately, what your real purpose is and what this life is really about, it kind of puts everything into perspective. And that's what really gives you peace. So, I mean, as long as I'm doing those things, then I think I'll be happy.
All right. Last question and wrap up after this. So, what is the definition of success in your dictionary?
I mean, it's just similar to what I just said. It's just continuing from the point that I just made. What is success according to me is basically, doing what is right according to your views and principles. I have my own set of views and principles according to what is morally, ethically right. That is what is success. Gaining lots of wealth, which some people might say is a like a benchmark of success, if that's done for me in the wrong way, if I start to earn money, but in a way by, cheating other people, or, trying to cut corners and doing things in the wrong way, then for me, that would be something that wouldn't be successful. Because with a drug dealer who's got a big house and a big car and lots of money, is that somebody that me and you would look at and say, oh, he's successful? We would say, oh, he's not really successful, because the means in which he earned that wealth was illegal. So for me, being successful is linked to what is right and what is wrong morally and ethically, and that primarily goes back down to my beliefs and my religion. So as long as that is completed and that's followed, ultimate success for me would be to obviously go to Jannah. That is the ultimate success. Everything else is kind of secondary to that. But you can use all of that in your life to attain that. So if I earn money in the right way and then give charity and I'm helpful, then I've managed to live my life, earn my wealth, and get a nice car, and give charity, and meet my objective, which is to please God. So for me, success is that, really. Based on my principle, success is not about materialism or anything like that. It's about spirituality. It's about doing what is right to attain the ultimate goal, which is obviously to be with Allah in heaven.
Zeeshan, thank you very much for your time. I'm really grateful and thankful to you that you have taken time out and you came to the podcast for Create Momentum. So before we go, any message you have for your family, friends, or people in Pakistan or anywhere else? So please give that message to us.
Yeah, so my message to everybody is basically, try and always try your best to make sure you do the right thing, even if it's easier to do the wrong thing. Try and always do the right thing. Always, obviously, respect your elders, respect your parents, and pray and make dua for lots of people out in the world today that are suffering, that are facing problems that we may not be sitting in our comfortable homes, be away from all of that stuff. So always remember those people. And just generally, my message to everybody is, keep your family and your loved ones close to you, keep them happy, and do good and be good to everybody. And hopefully, people will appreciate the things that we do, and we will benefit from that.
Okay, that's really, it's a great message. And if people want to connect with you, do you have a Instagram or anything where an email which you can give me? I'll put it in your link, or if you have a website, in a description.
Yeah. So
So you can forward it to me.
Yeah, I can give my email address. I'm not really too much on social media. I'm on Facebook sometimes here and there, but email would probably be the best form of communication if anybody did want to get in contact with me.
Okay, thank you, and inshallah we'll see you soon. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.